Hello everybody, I'm Alfred and I would like to talk to you about the movie VIVO. Now that actually sounds like a type of phone and it probably is a phone series. But in any case, this apparently it must not be trademarked. But this is Sony Pictures, animation's first ever musical, you know, their first ever musical adventure according to them, and it's very interesting. They want to get in on the action. Of course, Pixar, Disney, those folks are actually doing very interesting things in that direction. And since Disney bought Fox, the only other studio was Fox Animation when it comes to big studios that was actually going in this direction. But um, it goes without saying that there's a lot of opportunity in this space, and we Christians should take advantage of that. You know, especially since that this kinds of movie targets children. There's a saying I believe from the Jesuits that give us your child when he's 7 and he'll be a Jesuit for life. You know, there is something about training a child that if you understand how to train a child, they will never change. It will be really difficult for them to change, almost impossible for them to change. There's a reason why jihadists, they start training them from childhood, and they are willing to die and explode themselves for what they believe. They have been trained that way as a child. So getting people to believe an ideology when they are children is really a market that most people are going after, and people understand or are beginning to understand the importance of that, and that's why you see the drag queen story hour that the LGBT crowd are going hard after. They want to indoctrinate children into LGBT, and that is also what you see with the school systems, and you see the lower ages, when they are always pushing for lower ages to say, oh, let us teach kids, that are in kindergarten about sex education. What is a child in kindergarten knowing about sex education? Recently, a news reporter, I believe, for the New York Times or so, said that there should be a children-friendly version of porn. How can there be a children-friendly version of porn, to introduce children to porn? Why would you want to, first of all, introduce children to porn? And how can you make a children, like, what kind of talk is that? What is a children-friendly version of porn? There is no such thing. It cannot be done. I mean, why are you even thinking in that direction? Why will you even say that? It's crazy. So, but we need to realize the importance of going after kids, with the right ideology, with ideologies that make them respect their parents. If you watch movies or cartoons, anything, entertainment that has been made from probably 2000, the year 2000, especially like 2010 downwards, you will notice that when a parent is there, a lot of the stories, the parent is either in the wrong or believes something that is terrible, or there is always friction between the parents and the child. And at the end of the day, the child disobeying the parents will lead the child in the right direction. That is a very terrible thing. When the child disobeys the child lands in the correct destination at the end of the day. Perhaps the parents does not want the child to chase the child's dream of being this, but the child wants to be that, and the child goes, and then at the end of the day, the child succeeds. That is not a good thing to keep remaking and remaking, and always showing flaws in parents and praying parents as the villain. When you watch movies, you will notice what I'm telling you. Some of you may think that no, that parents are supporting figures in movies. No. There are some times where the parents will risk life and limb to save the child in some movies. But that is when it is still, the child is still, below the age of 13 or 12 in the movie. But when it comes to teenagers and older, there's always friction between parents and children on what way where they will go. And the answer for the children is always disobedience. Even in some cases where the parents may give some good advice, you know, there will always be that position for disobedience, and where disobedience lands the child in the right direction. This is intentional. It is just like you cannot watch an American movie that puts a Russian in a good light. There is no American movie or sitcom or series, in spite of how many are being made, where a Russian is put in a good light. You can't find it. It is intentional. You know, such a thing cannot be a coincidence. So you have to be mindful, you know, of these things and these tricks. You know, this is all about mind control. You know, Abraham Lincoln once said, you know, that the mindsets of a classroom in one generation is the mindset of the nation in the next. Well, there are people who are outside the educational system that you need to program to. And the way to do that is through entertainment, through news, through sports. That is why sports has gone woke. You see? Because sports is now also one of the ways to push forth messages. So you now have to subscribe to the BLM ideology, the pro-LGBT ideology, and all of that. Even via sports, they are pushing forth their message. They are pushing for their politics. You know, for your slavery and for control. You know, let me just read the description of this VIVO. VIVO Sony Pictures Animations First Ever Musical Adventure, featuring all new original songs from Lin-Manuel Miranda, will take audiences on an epic adventure to gorgeous and vibrant locations never before seen in animation. VIVO follows a one-of-a-kind King Kajo, aka a rainforest honey bear, who spends his days playing music to crowds in a lively square with his beloved owner, Andres. Though they may not speak the same language, Vivo and Andres are the perfect duo through their common love of music. But when tragedy strikes shortly after Andres receives a letter from the famous Marita Skandoval, inviting her old partner to her farewell concert with the hope of reconnecting, it's up to Vivo to deliver a message that Andres never could, a love letter to Marta, written long ago in the form of a song. Yet, in order to get to Marta, who lives a world apart, Vivo would need the help of Gabi, an energetic twin who bounces to the beat of her own offbeat drum to fulfill his owner's wishes. You know, this is very interesting. Of course, it is unrealistic, but then again, it's a cartoon, you know, a 3D cartoon, though. So, what will one expect? So, it's also goes without saying, why can't this guy deliver the message himself? You know, and by the way, is it now that he's old that he wants to, you know, tell somebody that, well, 30 years ago or 50 years ago, I actually had feelings for you, but I was never courageous enough to tell you. And even now, he isn't, apparently, you know, because we are not explained why he did not send this message himself, you know. Was there a specific reason why he could not go himself? You know, at least we do not know, or not just that. Even if he can still make a phone call, you know, no matter the time, he can still make a phone call. There's no excuse for that. You know, if he cannot physically go, and is it now, you know, after so many years, what makes him think that she had not lived her own life, had children and all of that and gone on? So, is this really necessary? And if at this stage he's still not courageous, is it wise for her to be in a relationship with somebody who is a coward on this level? You know, who has been a coward all his life? You know, that is basically what it is. So, it is not even a good fit, you know. It is not wise for the woman to actually embrace such a message, you know. And, you know, there is much to be said about the issue of giving cartoon characters, animal characters, human characteristics, because then it puts humans and animals on the same plane. You know, when you put animals and humans, you have to be careful what you do. So you don't put it like humans and animals are equals. And you can see it's that kind of mental problem that is affecting a lot of young people today who are in the business of, oh, don't eat animals, and the people who are always calling their animals their babies, they call their dogs their babies. They think of their dogs as their family and refer to them as their babies, their children, and all of that. That is crazy. That is dangerous, and that is bad, because you are now degrading the image of God, which is the image of a human. You are degrading it and putting it in the same class with animals. That will not work well for you. That is not a good mentality or mindset to have. That being said, we Christians need to take over animation. It's interesting that Sony Pictures has been in animation for how long? For so many years. Yet this is their first ever musical. And of course, it's a decision made of finances. Interestingly, in spite of how many millions of Christians are out there, how many Christian movies will they make? I understand that a Christian studio made Moses, a story centered on Moses, called Prince of Egypt, and of course there's some other movie of that sort. But even that is dangerous for the world to be making such movies, because they will have their worldly perspective, and the money will go to the world, which the world will now use to make secular movies and movies that have their own agenda. So that is not good, and it also gives the church, the ones who create the entertainment for the church at the world, which is terrible. The church should be in charge of that, and not just in charge of entertainment for the church, but that for the world. So those are things that you have to understand and keep in mind. If you would like to be a part of what we are planning to take over the entertainment landscape, reach out to us on Alfred or VIP. We are looking forward to hearing from you. Also, if you'd like to give your life to Christ, go to salvationprayer.alfred or VIP. Thank you, and God bless you.